Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Holistic Witch's Cottage. My name is Melissa, and I am the Holistic Witch. And today I am going to talk about a very witchy Easter. So for those of you that think that's an oxymoron because we can't combine our witchiness with Easter, maybe I'll give you a few ideas on that. So for the recap, I did do a podcast earlier in the week and I didn't have a lot of recap. The weather is getting nicer. We had a day in the 70s, which was absolutely awesome. So Kiddo and I have been out riding on the bikes. He has a regular two-wheeled bike and I have that weird electric moon cool trike that I love. This has given me more possibilities. As a child, I spent most of my summers, most of the warm, nice weather out riding everywhere. When you live in a rural area like I still live in and grew up in, you know, we spent almost all of our time, Gen Xer here, so spent a lot of time out on bikes, and not only out on the back roads in the streets, but out on the trails and in the woods too. So I've been practicing for a while on the Mooncool, because the tricycle doesn't turn exactly like a two-wheel bike, and I've had many bikes in my lifetime, and I've never ridden a tricycle since I, was a tiny kid, and I actually used to do ballet on my tricycle when I was a kid. I wouldn't ride it, I would dance on it and do headstands on it because I'm a big weirdo. But, so I didn't have a lot of experience with the turns, especially with a motorized trike. So I've been practicing in the neighborhood to make sure I'm safe and secure in my turns. The other thing is, like, if the road or the path isn't completely level, there's a wonky feeling and it wants to make the trike turn and lean a certain way. So I've had to get familiar with and find a way to compensate for that. So this witch doesn't ride a broom, this witch rides an electric trike, and I named my Mooncool Mooney. So Mooney and I go out for rides. So earlier in the week, Kiddo said, it was evening, Kiddo's like, hey, do you want to go for a ride? And the truck traffic is extremely noisy back there on the highway today. So if you can hear that bleed through, it's just rural life with coal trucks and such. Okay, so Kiddo asked if I would like to go out for a ride with him on the bike. So we got him out, and we were just basically riding around our neighborhood, and mine has like a big basket on the back for groceries, or a lot of times when I work at the library, I haul books back and forth to do some work at home. It's very convenient. It works very well. And a gentleman that I know lives about 2 blocks away had some wooden chairs out on his sidewalk for free, and I took a look at them, and he came out, and many years ago he dated my sister, so he knows me. And we were chatting a little bit, and he was kind of embarrassed about the condition. They were in his basement and such. And I was like, no, they're great. I was thinking I could refinish them and use them at the library if the people in charge at the library would like them. I would like to refinish them and make pads for them, comfy pads with whimsical fabric, and he thought that was cool, and he thought it was cool that I had the skills to do that as well. So, so how to haul two bikes, to haul two chairs with two bikes. So I told him, I think I'm going to have to make 2 trips on this. And he's like, how are you going to do this? So I was hauling chairs on the back of my trike the other evening. For those of you that know me in real life, this really isn't a big stretch. I do weird stuff like this, and it was cool. So I'm riding down the hill, holding the handlebar with one hand, holding the bike with the other hand, and so it was pretty funny and pretty fun. And I'm not sure the folks at the library want those chairs, so they're currently back at my house. I brought them back home, and I sanded them yesterday, and I'm gonna get some Rust-Oleum paint. I might want the chalky kind, and I want to paint those and bring them back to new life. So in clearly I lean green, and I'm all for upcycling and recycling and reusing. So I'm going to give new life to these old chairs, and that was cool. And just hauling them around on the bike was super cool and super weird. And no wonder people talk about me in the neighborhood. Well, yesterday I had kind of a rough day. I had a stressful day, a frustrating day. So I came home, checked in with kiddo, and said I'm going to take Mooney out for a ride. I have not taken Mooney out on the trails yet. I have only done street. We have a wonderful, beautiful rails to trail that runs through our little town. I live up at the top of the hill. I've described it before. Our town is shaped like a funnel. Main Street and the rails to trail, which runs right behind the main street, is at the bottom of the funnel, and we live at the top. I have never taken Mooney down I have gone down steep hills. I haven't gone down one that long. So 5 blocks. 5 blocks down, pretty steep. So I'm like, it'll be okay, I'll just go slow. Yeah, that went great. So when I got down there, I'm like, okay, I'm on the trail, we're going to see how this goes. This was the best ride I've probably had in 15 years. No pain, the electric assist is there if I need it, but I didn't use it much yesterday. The best ride I have had easily in 15 years. I went about 3 miles on the trail. I am looking forward to doing more. So I was, while I'm out there riding, and there's some people walking, and there's an old gentleman I see from time to time with this ancient corgi. So I got to play with the corgi. And I'm also looking from side to side on the trail, what's available to forage. So Colt's Foot is in bloom, so my next trip out I might go out and forage some Colt's Foot. Nettle is starting. Now, I guess it was 2 years ago, we propagated pussy willow trees, and we were going to keep one here in a pot, but it kept busting through the terracotta pots. It was a huge pot too, and I didn't want to buy one of those pots that cost like $300. So we named the tree Bridget, based on a character on Resident Alien, and we planted Bridget down near where we got the sprigs and twigs to propagate them. And so I was looking for Bridget yesterday. The trees aren't quite blooming yet, so it's a little early, so I was not able to identify any pussy willow trees yet, but maybe in a week I'll be able to go and find and visit Bridget, and that would be fun. That would be cool. So loving the moon cool, loving Mooney, and loving the spring weather, and being able to go out and look at the plants and start foraging again. Absolutely awesome and wonderful. So that's the majority of the recap. So let's talk a little bit about Very Witchy Easter. Let me start by saying I'm already starting to see some hate posts on Facebook and social media. It always happens during Holy Week. So if you're like me, someone who combines your witchiness with Christianity, if you start seeing a lot of anti-Christian hate on the witch groups, it happens this time of year, every year. If it bothers you, maybe take a break from social media until after Easter. It will go away, but it always amps up. Today is Holy Thursday. I saw about 5. Good Friday will be worse because the zombie Jesus stuff will start. And then by Easter Sunday, it will get vicious. So if you need to take a break from social media, including mine, I invite you to do that. I assure you, if anybody writes any crap like that on any of my pages or groups, when I catch it, because sometimes they block me so I can't see stuff, if I catch it, when I catch it, it will be taken down. It's rude. If Christianity isn't part of your path, I respect that. But I don't attack and slur other people's paths. I do not allow people to do that on my pages as well. So let's talk about the fun part of Witchy Easter. So as a child, we didn't really, my dad's background was English and Scottish. We really didn't celebrate any customs from his side. I wonder now as an adult why we didn't, but I guess Mom was kind of in charge of the house and Dad was basically tuned out from everything. He was around but not around, if that makes sense. Dad's thing was the Easter egg hunt, and I'll get to that later. But as far as like cultural foods, whatever, for the holidays, we didn't seem to touch on any of the Celtic stuff. My mom's side was, on her mother's side, was Slavic. So our Easters, our holidays were often heavy in those foods and those cultural traditions. So I dug into my old Slavic Carpatho-Russian cookbook from one of the old aunties, my old witchy auntie Aggie. And this thing is falling apart, but it's still readable on some of the pages. So here is an Eastern witchy meal spread, the Easter menu. Wine for toasting, salt, pasca, which is a very milky bread recipe, butter, eggs, hrunka cheese, which is sort of like a very, very heavy, custardy, creamy homemade cheese, sort of like a cream cheese, but more like a custard. I'll get more into that later. Ham, kielbasi, horseradish with beets. Optional veal and lamb, nut and poppy seed rolls, and roshki, which is sort of like a nut horn. I'll talk more about each of these. So, I don't think we ever did veal or lamb on our Easter tables. Mom hated kielbasa when I was a kid. Later she got into like sausage sandwiches, but I don't think we did kielbasa, but we always did ham. So wine, always Manischewitz wine, sometimes elderberry, usually red grape. The cheapest, sweetest wine that Mom could find, that's what we had, always. Manischewitz wine for Easter. I think they still sell it. The bottle is like square. So one of the customs when Mom returned back to church was taking the Easter basket to church to bless it. And they always made fun of her for bringing the wine in the square bottles. But yeah, they call it like Jewish training wine. It tastes more like grape juice than wine. Always Manischewitz in our house. Always. As an adult witchy person, Manischewitz wine rarely finds its way into this house. I used to play a little bit with their elderberry wine, which I found out wasn't really elderberry. It was just flavored. It wasn't real. So, but yeah, not going to see that in my house. We will probably have a nice white to go with the ham. A nice white wine, or maybe a Riesling. So salt for purification and protection. So Mom would sprinkle salt on the table and then use a special salt shaker to have on the table. I don't think that Mom understood any of the customs or traditions. She just knew that they did them, so she followed them. I'm not sure Mom knew any of the reason for any of it, which is fine. We didn't have the internet back then. She couldn't research it, so. Pascha. Mom made her own bread and rolls for Easter. Bread always for abundance. Pascha is heavy on milk, so it's also for fertility, abundance, and purification. Butter, also for nourishment, transitions, smoothing, which means like smoothing out the stress and rough things in your life, fertility, and abundance. Abundance and prosperity almost in every food correspondence. Eggs, the coloring of eggs. So in the Easter basket, Mom would put in the salt shaker, the bottle of Manischewitz, just one roll. She never put in the whole loaf of bread, just one roll. A stick of margarine, not real butter, and 3 dyed Easter eggs. Now, as a child, we usually used I think they were called Paz, P-A-S, P-A-Z, the little Easter egg food coloring little package you could buy at the grocery store. As an adult, I use natural dyes. Okay? I'll talk about that more in a bit. So as a kid, we had to do our 24 eggs, white eggs, and use the cheap food coloring stuff from the grocery store. Mom always put 1 pink egg, 1 blue egg, 1 green egg in her basket to take up to the church. Now, red as an egg dye for passion of the Christ. Blue for sorrow, and green for new life, fertility, green grass, freshness. Okay? You can use color magic and your own correspondences in coloring your eggs. If you wish to use food coloring and vinegar, or use the pre-made packages that you can buy in the store. That's fine. I prefer to do the natural ones. Sometimes I use beets. I have played with egg skins, hibiscus tea. Guess who's joining us? 1, 2, 3. It's Momo the Wonder Dog. Did you hear Mom talking about food and you need to join in? Yes. I need to talk about food and I need to eat yummy eggs. Huh. Hi. Good morning. Do you have anything to say to the podcast peeps? Jingle, jingle, jingle. Momo's here. Hi. I don't have any food, honey. I gave Momo a haircut yesterday. He's looking very dapper. Are you looking very dapper? Yes, I am. Back to coloring eggs. I put up some resources for using food scraps. In my own practice, I have mostly switched over to using herbal tea rinses for coloring my eggs. I think eggs dyed in coffee make a rich, luscious chocolate color, nice for a sweetening spell. I have used hibiscus tea. I have used rooibos, chamomile, the butterfly pea for the blue. So, whatever resonates with you. There are many color magic correspondence charts out there. None are exactly the same. So, which as you wish. Use whatever colors, use natural or artificial dyes. It's your choice. And use color correspondences that resonate with you to bring joy into your life for Easter. Now, I assume most everybody has colored eggs, but I just, put the white eggs into the pot of water, boil them until they're hard boiled, and then choose what I'm going to use for my dye, and then I save my egg cartons to let them set and rest in. So, however you do your eggs is up to you, but you can incorporate color magic into your egg dyeing to add a witchy aspect to your Easter. Let's go back to the foods. Hrugka cheese, which is like a custard. If anybody wants the recipe, I'll dig it up and post that for you. I actually think it's kind of gross, so I don't make it. Hrugka is custardy, and then we also served hard cheese next to the custardy cheese. And Hrugka is made with eggs and milk, and I don't exactly know why they call it a cheese, because it doesn't have the consistency of cheese or even cream cheese, but they call it a cheese. So this brings me to tyromancy, not pyromancy with a P, which is reading divination with flames and fire and candles. Tyromancy, spelled Tyromancy, is divination with cheese. You can divine with Hrugka by divining the texture and the coarseness and the patterns in the custardy creamy cheese. You can divine with Swiss cheese or hard cheese by the holes, the textures, and the cut. And I think I will post some resources for tyromancy if anyone wants to try that. Let's move to ham for prosperity and abundance. if you are vegan or vegetarian and are skipping the meat, I absolutely respect that. I'm barely eating meat myself now. I think I'm going to do something with mushrooms. Something with mushrooms as a substitute for the ham. Horseradish with beets was to keep demons away from the table. The beets were served with horseradish, not the creamy kind, but the flaky kind, like in a jar. Sometimes Mom did that, sometimes we didn't. My dad may have been allergic to horseradish. The smell of a horseradish often triggered my dad and made him feel ill. So I'm not sure what that was about, but we didn't always serve that. But if you want to keep demons away from the table, horseradish with beets. Nut rolls and poppy seed rolls were a huge thing at our house. My mom was not the greatest cook. She was a decent baker, but she had clearly learned how to make rolls and rushki, or rolls and horns, from somebody in her family, and she made pretty good ones. As an adult, I have become allergic to peanuts and tree nuts, so there will be no nut rolls in my house. Now, nut rolls and poppy seed, this is a way to bring the masculine and feminine to your table. The nut rolls, the walnut rolls, can correspond with the divine, with wisdom. Walnuts and sympathetic magic correspond with the brain, because walnuts sort of have a brain shape. So walnuts correspond with the masculine, and then poppy seed corresponds with the feminine, the dreamy, the sleepy, the emotional. You can take that information and file it how you wish. Okay? Mom made a decent poppy seed roll. My husband is a professional driver. Poppy seed can sometimes come up hot on a drug test, so we don't serve poppy seed here. We don't do anything with poppy seed in this house. So I probably won't be making nut or poppy seed rolls or rushki. Now, what rushki is, you roll out your bread dough and you cut it into long triangles. You put your filling on it. You can use a nut filling. You can use the poppy seed filling. You can use a fruit filling, a jam, or cinnamon and sugar, really whatever you wish. You put your filling on the dough. You cut it into long triangles, and then rolling from the fat end, roll towards the tip. And it's very circle of life. It makes a spiral. So rushki can also be very, very witchy, that pattern of rolling the spiral, connecting to Gaia, connecting to the cycle of Earth, the cycle of life. And you can also use that to bring some witchiness to your Easter table. One of the things Mom made, she always did like that bunny cake. So she made two white cake rounds. She just used box mix, so whatever. Do it however you want. Put them on a rack to cool, and then she put them on like the big Tupperware pastry mat. So one round stays just round for the bunny's face. Then on the other round, cut it so it's like a bow tie in the middle. So the middle is a bow tie, and then the two shapes on the outside are the bunny ears. Now it's so funny because my mom absolutely hated coconut, but my mom was so OCD that sometimes, and again, not a great cook, but every once in a while she got this notion that she had to follow a recipe to the letter. So my mom absolutely hated coconut, but she would frost this bunny cake white and then sprinkle coconut on it so it looked like the picture that she saw in the magazine she got in the Sunday paper. We would decorate the bow tie with M&Ms, so again, a way to bring some color magic into your Easter table. Licorice for the whiskers. I think M&M for the face, or sometimes gumdrops. But it was crazy because she sprinkled the whole thing in coconut, and then she hated coconut. So she made her cake, she took a picture of it, and then she threw it in the garbage and threw it away. So I don't know how much money we spent on all the candy to cover that cake, but when I was a kid, like, they never got eaten because there was coconut on it. Weirdest thing. So if you want to make a bunny cake and witchy it up, choose candy or colors to match the correspondence. If you're not a fan of coconut, don't put coconut on your cake. I always told her, like, we don't have to do it. When I was a teenager, I took over making the bunny cake and I never put coconut on it. And then she was like, oh, I guess we didn't have to put coconut on it. Weirdest thing. I don't know. Black licorice, anise. If you want the protection factor, you could use black licorice for the whiskers. Or really whatever you want. You're only limited by your own witchiness and your own imagination and your own sweet tooth on the bunny cake. Easter candy. Again, we've got a diabetic in the house and I'm allergic to, just about everything now. So we don't bring a lot of candy into the house, but you can do a lot with witchiness and candy. The bunnies, the chocolate bunnies, represent fertility, represent new life. The Easter eggs do as well. I am a big fan of the Cadbury eggs. I don't know if I can still eat them. I'd love to try and see how it goes. Gumdrops, jelly beans for planting new seeds, planting new life. And they come in all kind of wonderful color, magic colors. I know I'm rambling. I do that. Let's go back to wine a little bit. There are all kind of wonderful Easter alcoholic drinks you can also use to witchy up your table. Choose what resonates. Coffee. We actually have a strawberry and a blueberry flavored one. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but I might go with strawberry just because I want to bring the love and passion to the table. So it'll be a strawberry, and then I'll sugar up. I'll crystallize some sugar to sprinkle on top of that. So you are only limited by your own witchiness and your own creativity. Now, in my tradition, in my custom, Good Friday is a hard fast day. So as a teenager, we weren't even allowed to have fish on Fridays during Lent. It was hard fast. So it was strictly Lenten foods, strictly no meat, no butter, no cheese, nothing, only vegetables. We used to have like a lot of like green soups and sauerkraut. So a big thing we used to do was like sauerkraut on crackers. I know it sounds gross, but if you want to play with some Lenten foods as well, you can look up the correspondence on some of these seeds and grains and vegetables and bring some witchiness in as well. Because remember, your phone can be your happy research device. You can tap that little button and say magical correspondence for just about anything. And you can make some Lenten meals and some Easter meals and some cool desserts just by doing your own research on the ingredients you have in your house. So I was going to talk a little bit about Dad's Easter egg hunt. So when I was a kid, we did like the plastic eggs. This is how I made my money for spring. They had slips of paper in it, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 25, and then you could cash in at the end. We had a very large yard out in the country, so Dad usually hid 50 to 100 eggs. We never found them all, and I usually hit some with the mower later in the season. But using colored eggs and the Easter egg hunt can be another fun way to bring some witchiness into your Easter. Is there anything? When Kiddo was a teenager, we started doing the geocaching thing. So I hid plastic eggs in the neighborhood and then entered them into the GPS. So he had to geocache for his Easter eggs that year. That was fun too. So you can be a techno witch and do the Easter egg hunt too. Stuffy animals, pretty dresses, weird hats, however you choose to do it is how you choose to do it. We are getting close to the 40-minute mark. I talked longer than I thought I would. However you choose to celebrate Easter or choose not to celebrate Easter, I wish you well. I will post some more resources. Please, if the path of the Christian witch is not your path, and then you probably didn't listen to this, but if it's not your path and you have a pagan path and you are anti-Christianity, all I ask is, witch as you wish also. But please be respectful to those who choose to witch in other ways. I hope your weather is wonderful. I hope you have good things to eat. Blessings on your journey. If you're celebrating, have a wonderful holiday. Happy Easter. Blessings on your journey. I think I'll leave it at that. Momo, do you have anything to add? No, I'm napping on Mommy's lap again. Happy Easter from everyone at my house, including Momo the Wonder Dog. Blessings on your journey. Bye-bye.